Well, it happened. Lauren Boebert did win her primary in the Republican primary, obviously, last night. And I do want to play for you a bit of her victory speech that took a very strange turn. Very, very strange. So we'll get to that. I will fill you in on sort of where we go from here, who her Democratic opponent is now going to be. But step one, probably the most difficult obstacle after her moving to Colorado's 4th, abandoning her constituents in Colorado's 3rd, she did pass that test and was sided with by the voters, the Republican voters in this district. We'll talk about, as we did yesterday, what this means about the Republican Party, that with everything, they still were willing to go with Lauren Boebert as their nominee in this district. But first, here are the results from the New York Times. Then we'll get to that speech moment that I was referring to. Lauren Boebert wins the Republican primary as is written. You can see here with 94% of the vote in, she is carrying the race with 43.4%. Now, we talked about yesterday Kyle Clark, a local news anchor in Colorado, making the point that the 5 people running against Lauren Boebert in this Republican primary in part are to blame for giving her this nomination because she won with not a majority, just a plurality. And that means that she could have been defeated if all of the non-Boebert vote had united around one candidate to defeat her. But instead, they all wanted to run their own race, and they split up all the people who were saying, we don't want Boebert, which was a majority of the district, and thus her 43.4%, at least where it stands now, was enough to win. So, in part, we should be blaming those Republican leaders in this race. But yeah, I do think this is there's a broader point here about how MAGA is just so powerful within the GOP, and that's why we need to reject the GOP at large. Here's this moment from her speech, very bizarre.
Polls from the Democrats saying that they can defeat me. We know the people who are here in this district. We know this is a Republican district. We know we have work to do, and we know that we are going to have a landslide victory November 5th in CD4.
So just your generic stuff, and then she decides, you know what, I'm kind of crushing it. I'm going to try out a little comedy. I've been workshopping some bits, and I'm going to deliver some satire here.
You know, and if any of you are talking to folks about me and you have trouble saying my last name, just please, if you say Boebert, don't say Lorena. Remember.
So first joke, the crowd's not super into it, but you hear some chuckles. All right, don't say Lorena Boebert. We'll look into who that is if you're not familiar in just a second here. But then she says that I'm going to go with my real mic drop moment with this joke.
I'm not French.
Wait.
Remember, I'm not French. Just because I don't know who my dad is doesn't mean I don't know I'm not French. Boebert.
I guess that's just sort of uncomfortable to comment on. She says just because she doesn't know who her dad is doesn't mean that she's French, or that she doesn't know her name. I actually missed it. Sorry, I was thinking about what we're going to next. I didn't even capture it. Let's really hear that joke one more time.
Remember, I'm not French. Just because I don't know who my dad is doesn't mean I don't know I'm not French. Boebert.
Oh. And the crowd goes silent. Yeah. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Are you supposed to go, good one? Or is that insensitive? I'm not sure. Now, I was blanking on who Lorena Boebert was. So we're all adults here. I'm just going to read from Wikipedia who we're talking about. John Wayne Boebert and Lorena Boebert were an American former couple married on June 18, 1989. Beautiful so far. Whose relationship received international press coverage in 1993 when Lorena severed John's penis with a knife while he was asleep in bed. The penis was, if you were wondering, successfully surgically reattached. So that's who she was saying she's not wanting to be called Lorena Boebert. If you accidentally say Boebert, don't say Lorena. So joke 1, you can judge if that's a nailed it. Joke 2, also a little bit uncomfortable. Every day, I am truly so grateful that so many of you choose to watch this show. If you appreciate what goes into it, the work that goes into producing the show each day, the easiest, freest way to support the work is by clicking that subscribe button. Makes a huge difference, but we appreciate it so much. But the speech didn't really get better from there.
This right now is the time for us to educate the people that are around us, to have fun, and to take the lead in joy. We could be serious in our efforts. We could be serious in the fights to come, but be happy. Happy, joyful warriors. Because God has given us a weapon, and that weapon is what gives us our strength. That weapon is called joy. And that joy is not a suggestion. It is a battle plan. It is our strategy into victory.
Yeah, so is she prioritizing joy when she's dehumanizing populations of people because it gets her on Fox News? Is she prioritizing being a warrior of joy for God whenever she is saying wildly Islamophobic things about her fellow congresswoman? Is she being a warrior of joy when she's telling lies that are so dangerous? Experts warn they could deteriorate the very foundation of our entire process. She got elected. I respect the legitimacy of her primary results, but she is attempting to delegitimize our democratic process that is giving her the very power that she's celebrating here. So I don't know if that message aligns with her record. But here's something she posted. In Colorado's 4th District, we defeated the establishment, we defeated the dark money, we defeated the Uniparty. Now we have to defeat our Democrat opponent in November so that we can save America. Will you chip in $15 today so that we can do just that? And yes, I know someone actually sent in on the contact form on our website to the show something they have observed. And it doesn't bother them. I'm fine with it. But when I read things, I 50% of the time am doing it in the inflection of Trump's voice. We defeated the establishment. We defeated dark money. So I know I'm still doing that, even though it's Lauren Boebert. But she's obsessed with this uniparty idea. And I'm yet to get a good definition as to what the heck that is, when of course the two different parties are very different in what they stand for, advocate for, and how they govern. But the question now is, she won her primary. Is she likely to win her general election bid against the Democrat? Well, that's the reason she moved to this district, was to be in a more red district. In Colorado's 3rd, that was safe before she was there. Originally, it was supposed to be a safe red, but then she was so close to losing last time, it looked like she was going to lose to Adam Frisch this time, so she ran away, moved to Colorado's 4th, and she now does have a better shot of winning in the general, just to be frank with you, okay? We did get numbers with the Ike McCorkle, who was one of the people running to be her competitor, who lost last night, and someone else was nominated on the Democratic side, but he had a poll done. His own campaign commissioned it that made it look like he could beat her, so maybe there's a shot. But just understanding this district, it's very likely she's going to end up being in Congress once again come 2025, now representing Colorado's 4th district. And just to jump down, I do want to show you Trisha Calvarez is the person who ended up winning in the Democratic side, so she'll be running against Lauren Boebert. We've talked about Ike McCorkle and John Pedora. We talked about John Pedora yesterday, but haven't actually spent much time talking about Trisha Calvarez. I'm sure we'll do so now that she's the nominee going forward. So again, this is a reminder of, even when Lauren Boebert is, as people have described it, a carpetbagger, moving for political purposes to this district, leaving her constituents, she has a story as to why that's not just a cynical political move and why it's for the sake of her family or something. It seems like she knew she was going to lose in the district where she was representing, so she went to an easier district to win in. And the hardest part was becoming the nominee. She became the nominee. Now, there was a majority anti-Boebert vote, so in that sense, you say, good job, Republican voters. Many of you don't like her. But 45% of them did side with Lauren Boebert. Enough of them sided with her to make her the nominee. And if even the Lauren Boebert story right now can't end in defeat, then we have to learn the lesson that we just got to reject the Republican Party. I've talked to people who want so badly to hold on to the idea that, no, but I can vote for some more rational Republicans and then avoid the MAGA ones. But the message has to be sent that this party is now controlled by something called MAGA, Trumpism. And figures like Lauren Boebert are not going to be politically irrelevant until we make the entire party politically non-viable. Again, until MAGA is pushed out of it. But stunning. Really, I guess because of name recognition, her endorsement from Trump, and her owning of the libs as they might perceive it. Even after all the controversy and the disastrous moments that were observed where it seemed like she was in a lot of political trouble, she's going to be the nominee and likely will stay in Congress. Yikes. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments. If you want to get the extra show that we do daily, you can do so by clicking that join button below.